Hello YouTube, this is Rascal Ryan 521 here, and today I'm bringing you a very special video, different from my normal ones, and this is a video inspired by Owen Salmons. He was previously Mr. Doc 2 Fan 98. He started a new channel though, and I think he's already up to 200 subs. He's growing really fast, but he just did a video of his top 10 movies of all time, like just a couple days ago, and I've been wanting to do that for a while. I'm a big movie buff. Well, I'm a movie buff on the movies that I like. There's still a lot of movies I haven't seen, but yeah. So he did his top 10. I couldn't narrow it down to 10, so I have my top 15. Hope that's okay. So this might be a bit of a longer video, so I'm gonna just hurry it up and just get started right away. So I will move my Lego avatar camera back just a little bit. And coming in at number 15 is a superhero movie. I'm sure you guys all love it. Probably one of the biggest movies of 2012. And this is The Avengers. And everything that I loved about the event, that I knew I was going to love about The Avengers, was in it. It was just, they had all the superheroes, all the cool guys in there. Hawkeye wasn't really super useful. He's not even on the cover, but I mean, other than him, all the other superheroes, they were just awesome in the movie, especially Tony Stark, you know, Iron Man. I used to be obsessed with superheroes years ago, and, yeah, these movies are just, these were phenomenal, so of course I was really excited to see this one, but, yeah, I can't wait for the sequel to come out next year, and, yeah, I really recommend you check it out. It has a lot of memorable lines, too. Like when Loki says, "We have an army," and he's like, and then Iron Man's like, "Yeah, we have a Hulk." Sorry, I'm kind of showing my nerdiness right now. Coming up next at number 14 is a movie that you think would be a lot higher, but since I moved on to other things, it's now number 14. And I am talking about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This is actually my favorite Harry Potter movie of them all. I think this one turned out really, really good. They did this one really well. Cover is a little trippy. I don't know if you can tell, but it kind of morphs from Harry and Ron, Hermione to Voldemort. No, I don't think it really works on the camera, though. It's one of those, you know, covers. Yeah. But, I mean, this one, the full-out battle was just epic in this one. I loved every minute of it. And I knew I would. I went into the theater expecting a lot, and I got everything that I wanted. So, this movie was awesome. Coming in at number 13 is probably a movie probably the least known movie. Out of all of these movies, this one's probably the least well known, I guess you could say. I don't really know how else to phrase that. And this is a Disney movie. This is called Sky High. It's basically, like I said, back in my superhero phase when I was in like kindergarten, first, second grade. You know, it's a movie about it's a high school academy for superheroes, and you know, they get divided into, you know, either based on their powers, they get divided into heroes or sidekicks, you know, and the heroes, you know, the more, you know, the better kids, you know, like the jocks or whatever, the school, and then the wimps and the geeks and the, you know, they get put in the sidekicks category. And Will, the main character, as you can see in the front right there, next to Kurt Russell, he basically, both Kurt Russell and the woman next to him, those are his parents. They're basically like Superman and Wonder Woman, the two like most powerful superheroes in their world. But he doesn't have his powers yet. He hasn't got them yet, and even though his parents are the most powerful superheroes out there. So, you know, it's funny. It's a Disney Channel movie, which I normally don't really care for, but this movie's always stuck with me just because I love the superhero thing. I love the plot of it too. And the guy throwing the fire, that's the enemy of the movie. Well, he's the enemy. Turns out to be his best friend, but his name's War and Peace. I kind of like the pun that they did on his name right there, you know, based off the name of the book. Okay, coming up next at, what is it, number 12? This is by far my favorite animation movie of all time, and this is The Lion King. They just did such a good job with this one. I love The Lion King. It is the best, like I said, best animation I've ever seen. All the characters are great. Mufasa, you know, the voice of Darth Vader. Simba's a really cool character too. I like his whole tragic backstory and everything. Scar is just evil. Timon and Pumbaa, they're awesome. The little bird, I can't remember his name. I haven't seen this movie in about a year or two, so I don't remember all their names, but yeah, like I said, by far the best animation of all time. For those of you that disagree, I mean, it's your opinion. Following close, this is the only animation I have on this list. But movies that almost made the cut were Wreck-It Ralph and Toy Story and oh god, what was the other one? God, what was it again? Oh yeah, Finding Nemo. I love that movie too. But yeah, I'm not even a 90s kid, and I still agree Lion King is the best animation of all time. Coming up next is Spider-Man 2, and this is my favorite of all the Spider-Man movies. The original Spider-Man, I love the backstory. Spider-Man 3, even though I disagree with a lot of people by thinking it's actually a good movie, it still is the weakest of the three. Spider-Man 2, without a doubt, holds my favorite Spider-Man, my favorite Marvel superhero movie of all time. Sorry to fans of The Amazing Spider-Man, I love that movie, seriously, I love it. The way that they did it and rebooted it was great. Andrew Garfield is perfect in it. Tobey Maguire's, I don't think you can beat the original ones. I grew up with those. They're kind of, those movies are coming out when I was in my superhero phase, so it's a little bit more, I'm a little bit more biased, so, but yeah, Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock, Alfred Molina cast perfectly. He did a great job in this role. Tobey Maguire, the best Spider-Man of the two, I'd say. Or three, whatever, the animated ones, if you want to count those. I don't know. I don't watch those animated shows. But yeah, without a doubt, I love this. I love, J. Jonah Jameson. He's one of the best characters of this trilogy, too. Next up is a new one, and this is, I expected this one to be good, but I didn't expect it to be this good. It turned out to be my favorite movie of 2012, and this is Chronicle. And Chronicle is just, it's flat out, it's intense. These three teenagers, these three teenagers that go into this hole they find in the ground, and there's like this weird supernatural thing in there. Of course, it's all found footage, so when they enter the cave or tunnel or whatever, it gets all staticky and whatnot. But it's a great movie. I really recommend you watch it. And the main character, he gets abused by his father a lot. I don't know if it's his stepdad, or I think it's his stepdad. He treats him way too much of a jerk to be his real dad, but some people are like that, I don't know. But, and he starts using his powers for evil because he doesn't really have any good in his life. But it's a great movie. The ending really shocked me, but I love this one. It's, like I said, it's found footage, but it actually was done really well. Unlike a lot of the other crappy found footage movies that come out nowadays. Yeah, I'm talking about the new million Paranormal Activity sequels that we don't need. Coming up next is my favorite superhero movie of all time. This one and Spider-Man 2 are probably tied, but I have this one up higher on my list, so I'm just gonna say it's probably my favorite superhero movie of all time, and that is The Dark Knight. And this I think almost everybody will agree with me that this is by far the best Batman movie ever made. It might even be one of the best movies ever made in your book. But, Christopher Nolan, he did such a great job with these movies. Heath Ledger completely steals the show. Well, not even, actually. I mean, Christian Bale is a perfect Batman. They did a great job. This trilogy had great casting. That's what made it the best, and just the grittiness of it, and then the Joker, I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Heath Ledger, it's such a tragedy that he had to die right before the release of this movie, because this is by far his most memorable performance. I don't even know what else he's in, but I know if you go to his IMDb page, this will be the very first movie that pops up on his known for list. So great job, Christopher Nolan. Coming up next is, if you've watched my videos and whatnot, this one probably won't come as much of a shocker to you. And this is The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. I love The Desolation of Smaug. I thought it was really good, but it's not even, I don't think it comes close to the original one, The Unexpected Journey from 2 years ago. As you can see, I got the one with the minifigure, the exclusive minifigure, that's what that is. But, this is just, they had everything this one I wanted there to be, and I didn't even know what I wanted there to be in it, because this is before I read the Hobbit book. I've read it now, of course, a couple of months before the release of The Desolation of Smaug, is when I read it, but it was awesome. The cave troll scene was awesome. The Riddles in the Dark was by far the best scene in the movie. I just love the whole the thing with the dwarves at the dinner table in Bag End. This movie, I couldn't get enough of it. I just thought they did an amazing job with this movie, and I was really excited to see it. My dad and I went and saw this because we're both Lord of the Rings fans. I think like the first or second day it came out. And yeah, it delivered, and I loved it. Now, coming up is basically, it's like Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead almost made this list, but it's like Shaun of the Dead. But in my opinion, it's funnier. The more American version of Shaun of the Dead, and the more vulgar version of Shaun of the Dead. And everybody knows they want to be like Tallahassee from this movie in the zombie apocalypse. And I'm talking about Zombieland. This is by far one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life. You guys, I just rewatched this one the other day. I mean, so many quotable lines from it. Woody Harrelson as Tallahassee sails the show. Columbus is kind of the geek. And Emma Stone and, what's her name? Abigail Breslin. I'm just reading off the DVD disc. I mean, they're cool, too. I mean, they're important characters, of course. They're half of the main cast, but Tallahassee just completely steals the show. I love him in this movie. His search for the Twinkie the last Twinkie on the planet is hilarious, and I just can't get enough of this movie. Like I said, my friend Jordan and I can quote millions of lines from this movie. But yeah, I love this one so much. And coming up next is I love this movie so much. The soundtrack is my favorite movie soundtrack of all time. I love the plot of it. And it's just always been one of my favorite movies, and I'm talking about Jurassic Park. One of the best movies ever made. The dinosaur theme park goes wrong. I mean, I don't know how you can go wrong with that. But this is just such a great movie, guys. I really recommend you see it. If you haven't already, I mean, if you haven't really, what rock have you been living under for the past 20 years? This movie is it's so classic. It was just re-released in 3D about a year ago, and I went and saw that, and it was just beautiful. It looked awesome. I loved it. And, I love this movie. This is just a great movie, guys, and, yeah, there's not really much I can say about it. I really like, Jeff Goldblum in this movie. Ian Malcolm, I think is his character's name. He's the smart guy of the group. He already knows, but before they even get into the park, he knows something's gonna go wrong, and, he's the smart guy of the group, and he almost makes the movie. We're getting down to, let's see, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're getting down to the top 5 here, guys. These are the movies that you can tell I really love. These are some of my favorites of all time. And this next one is one of the weirdest movie on this list, but by far one of the funniest. The second funniest, actually. It's the second to last comedy. And I didn't really expect to like this movie as much as I did. And I'm talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World. This is just one of the funniest movies ever made, guys. Really recommend you check this one out. He's dating this girl, which is actually one of the characters from Sky High I mentioned earlier. But he's basically, Michael Cera, he's dating her, and he has to defeat her 7 evil exes. Not ex-boyfriends, because one of them was a girl. They kept making jokes about that in the movie. But it's so weird. It's based off a comic book, apparently. But it's just one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, guys. This movie, I think this and the TV show Family Guy are the two things I can quote the most lines from. Like, literally, my dad and I, we can quote so many lines from these things. And the thing is, we haven't even seen this movie that much. I mean, we watch it every once in a while, but we haven't even seen it that much, and I can quote just so much from it just because it's so memorable, and it's just one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I would really appreciate if you checked it out, guys. Coming up next is, if you would ask me a couple years ago, this entire movie saga would have all been my number 1, but I just wanted to pick one from this saga, and it is actually at number 4 now. But there's still an awesome movie. The Empire Strikes Back, without a doubt the best Star Wars movie they ever made, which according to, from what I heard, George Lucas calls it the worst of the movies, because he's the one that didn't direct it, which I think that's kind of sad. Here, you know what? I'm going to put this blue Lego brick down, so I can angle. There we go. But, I mean, it's just all there's so much, like with Luke Skywalker, and, I'm training to become a Jedi, the whole, Han Solo and Millennium Falcon thing, trying to escape the Star Destroyers, the whole battle at Hoth, Luke, I am your father, Boba Fett, just being, Boba Fett. There's so much to love about this movie. I'm gonna have, like, a complete nerdgasm right now. But I really recommend you check this one out if you haven't. I mean, Star Wars, one of the biggest movies in cinema history. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you haven't. But, yeah. I love this movie. This is the best of the Star Wars movies. Okay, now this next one, it kind of is 3 movies, but for number 3, but I couldn't really narrow it down because I don't really have a favorite. I suppose 1 or 2, probably 1 just because it's the more classic one. And I actually didn't even see. I've only seen each of these movies once. I only saw them a couple months ago, and they just ended up being classics to me. And I'm talking about the Back to the Future trilogy. Now, if you haven't seen these movies, okay. First of all, you haven't lived. And I mean, they're some of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I mean, they're not like the funniest, like laugh out loud funny, but I mean, like they're witty. They definitely have their moments. I'll give them that. And I mean, they're quirky. They're just, it's the best 80s movie of all time. In my opinion, that used to be Ghostbusters, but this completely surpassed Ghostbusters. You guys gotta check this one out. I love Back to the Future. It's one of my new favorite movies of all time. I plan to do Back to the Future mocks, but I'm just running so low on pieces that I'm probably not. The only one I can really think of that I was thinking about doing was maybe either like a hover car, one of those cars or something, or from 2015, or maybe the town hall or something, or the school dance. Maybe something like that I'll do for the future, but for now I don't really have the pieces. Next up at number 2 is another movie trilogy, which I don't know really how to narrow it down to one, so I'm just gonna kind of include the whole trilogy. This is a big one. This is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Peter Jackson completely delivered with these movies. He put everything in that the fans wanted, except for Tom Bombadil, that he should have been in the story. But these movies, like I said, they completely delivered. They kicked all sorts of, but I'm not going to swear on YouTube. I don't swear. I don't really see the point of it, but I mean, they're some of the best movies I've ever seen. I mean, I like that they weren't even afraid to put humor into them. There's like Gimli and Legolas. They joke around a lot in these movies, and I like that. With a serious action movie like this, you got to have some funny moments every now and again. But I mean, these movies, they completely delivered. Like I said, they were awesome, perfectly cast. Gimli and Sam, my 2 favorite characters. And like I said, if you watch my YouTube channel, this one probably was one that you were expecting to be number 2. And yeah, just take like 12 hours out of your day and watch these ones, guys, if you haven't seen them yet. No, I'm obviously kidding. It literally takes me like an entire Friday or Saturday night just to get through one of those movies. I've only seen each one twice, because of how long they are. But number 1, oh man, this is a movie that really hits me in the heart. It's been a classic to me ever since I first saw it. It's like really dumb humor, but that's what makes it funny and just classic to me. I don't know if you'll see this one coming, but number 1, I gotta give to the classic Napoleon Dynamite. I love this movie. This is one of those movies you either love it or you hate it. I happen to be one of the people that loves it, and you can't go wrong with this guy. This movie is it's so funny. He's a nerd at school. He's trying to get people to vote for his friend Pedro for class president. He's dealing with this quirky family life, and his favorite animal is the liger, obviously, if you haven't. But you guys gotta check out this movie. I love it. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, watch Napoleon Dynamite, and I guess that concludes this video. Comment, rate, subscribe, and see you later, guys. And tell me what your favorite movies are in the comments. I could do the similar list with TV shows if you want, although that would definitely be a top 10. That wouldn't have to be a 15, because there's not a ton of shows I watch. You obviously know The Walking Dead would probably be number 1, but I could do a top 10 of those if you wanted me to. But just, yeah, let me know your top 10 movies in the comments, guys. And hit that subscribe button, and I really appreciate 400 subs. We're gonna go to 500 before not too long, I promise you. So, comment, rate, subscribe, and see you later. Bye.